I'm ahead. Just trying to see if there's anyone. Yeah, it says 8 people. Hi everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. We're just checking a few things before we get started. And we're also waiting for Anil to join us. Although he did mention he might run a little bit late. So apologies for that. We'll give ourselves one more minute before we get started. Hi Madan. I can see a few new names from these are people that haven't joined us previously for webinars. I think it's Aniruddha, unless you've joined with some other email. Mayur, I believe we were talking on Discord earlier. If that's you, just ping us on chat. It's good to see you here. Great, cool. Okay, we'll get started. I think some of my colleagues are running into some technical difficulties, so I'll kick us off. Let me just bring you guys onto the screen. There we go. So hi, my name's Akash. Usually these webinars are run with Anil and Mihir as well. I am a technical product owner at Revise. Mihir is the Chief Operating Officer and Anil is the Chief Technical Officer or CTO for Revise. Anil's like our technical head, whereas I'm kind of mid-technical / mid business and people kind of management stuff. So at Revise, I guess we've been just having a discussion about how do we want to describe ourselves, because I think we're a combination of many things. But in a nutshell, the way I like to say it is we're a platform for creating and managing dynamic NFTs. And then you add layers and you can add things like zero knowledge proofs, Merkle trees, all these kind of things. But we won't go into those kind of technical stuff just yet. We try to keep these webinars more broad and open spectrum for people who are completely new to the space, all the way to people who are, I would say, more advanced and stuff. But the advanced stuff, we like to just have more personal calls with them and walk them through things. So if you're new to these webinar formats with us, what we do is we kind of walk through a little bit of code and then we have a bit of a discussion. We're trying to keep this more open-ended, where we want actually more people to participate and ask us questions, or even just come and have a discussion and tell us stuff that they're working on. We would like to keep it really open-ended. So in terms of agenda, the first 15 to 20 minutes will probably just be more of a code walkthrough. And then that will then be followed on with just 10 minutes of discussion / questions. You can see. Cool. Okay. So what I'll do is I will share my screen and also share a link. Utkarsha, would it be possible for you to please share that link on the chat? Just the link to the technical guide that we're going to be walking through today. So today's webinar is mainly focused on, with the FIFA season in full swing, we thought, why don't we make some dynamic kind of FIFA trading cards or sports cards, which dynamically change. The first exercise we'll be doing, the exercise is going to be broken down into, I would say, 3 parts, right? So the first one is we're going to be minting our FIFA card collection and NFT on Revise. That's then going to be followed on by making a mock data, adding mock data to this NFT and dynamically changing it using the mock data. And the third part of it will be where we'll be actually connecting it to a real API and pulling real data about that player and dynamically changing the NFT based on real world data as well. Cool. I believe Utkarsha might have shared that link. Yeah, it's been shared above. So Mihir shared the guide for the webinar. So you click on that guide. We'll be walking through that end to end, basically. So if you'd like to follow along, you can do that, or you can look at my screen and I'll be walking through the code. Cool. So share screen. Share my screen now. If at any point you feel that the text is too small or you can't hear me, just write on chat. I will be monitoring chat. Cool. Okay. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or something, just saying if you guys can see the code and the screen properly? Nice. Got it. Nice, good active audience. Those quick thumbs ups. Perfect. So before we get into code, in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're cloning a repository. We're cloning a GitHub repository, which sets the skeleton code for running Revise. After that, we're basically doing an npm install, which is kind of what I've done over here. And once that npm, so just make this a bit bigger. So once we've done that npm install, we install all the packages required to run and use Revise. The next thing we do after that is we're basically pasting the code for index.js, right? So we're working with two files here. We have an index.js and a levels.js. In the index.js, we are calling with the Revise SDK. We're putting in an auth token. I'll walk you through how you can get this auth token. And then we're creating a collection. It's this easy to create a collection with Revise. All we're doing is putting a name. You put a name for the collection and the URI. The URI cannot have any special characters or spaces. So it'll just be like my FIFA team.revise.network in this case. So I've just made my URI my FIFA team. After that, what we're doing is we are adding an NFT. So we have created some images that you can use as well. So there are three images. It's a bronze, silver, and gold. And what we're doing is we are basically adding an NFT. So just using the add NFT function call. And on top of that, we're adding some metadata properties. So in this case, we're adding an image, we're adding a name, token ID, a description. So we're working with Kylian Mbappe. If you don't know him, he's a French player as well as plays for PSG, very famous football player. And we're adding other metadata properties, like, for example, what team he's from. So in this case, he's from PSG, or it could even be France, right? What position he plays for, what level. And we've kind of given them attributes. So we've given them like offense, defense, stamina, and skill. So if you've ever played FIFA, it's kind of similar to that. Even the NFTs we've created look like the FIFA Ultimate Team cards, right? So one of the things I had to do was show you how you get an auth token. This is a great time to show you our Revise dashboard or app. So this is, if you go to app.revise.network, you'll either have to sign up or it'll just log you in. Over here, basically you'll be able to see all the NFTs you've minted, how many revisions the NFTs have gone through, what collection it belongs to, when it was last updated, all that kind of stuff. But the hot one is generating an API key. So if you just go to generate API key, and then you click generate API, it will effectively show you an API key. This key is not stored on a Revise server for security reasons. So please copy it and paste it somewhere that way you can access it. If for any reason you lose it, you can just come in, generate another one. That's exactly what I had to do today prior to this webinar. So yeah. So we'll just go back to our dashboard again, because this is the view we want. As you can see, I've minted quite a few NFTs for testing purposes. Now, let's just go back to our code. So, any questions regarding this index.js file? Anything over here that doesn't make sense? Or if you have any questions, just put it on chat. Just give maybe 30 seconds or 10 seconds. don't see anyone typing. Cool. I'll just continue on then. So we'll go ahead and run this file and mint this NFT onto Revise. So if I just do node index.js, so the files run successfully once an NFT ID is generated. The other way to also look at this is important, but the other way to also know that it's been successful is if you actually go back here to our Revise dashboard. Let's quickly refresh this all the way. Oops, what has happened? Interesting. For some reason, it actually didn't come through. Let me just check what happened. It's all correct. This is such a classic webinar thing. You want to showcase it to somebody and it doesn't work. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to see why it didn't come through. This should have become 11 NFTs. Okay, let me just try to do this manually and see if for some reason it's the UI that's not updating. So the way I can do this manually is if I actually copy this ID. Right. If I copy that ID, go back here, and paste it, could bring up something. Cool. So it did come through. So actually, I don't know why the UI on my end was just not updating. But effectively, we have minted it. So you can see that on the 20th of November at 3:11:50 p.m., basically, we did mint this. And you can see all the attributes that have come through. So it's gone through one revision. It was last updated a minute ago. This is the image. It looks like the FIFA Ultimate Team card. And all our attributes have come through here, right? Now let's go to the more interesting part. Now that we've done this, put this away. Let's go to levels.js, right? So in levels.js, what we're doing is, number one, we're putting in our...
There's a question.
Sorry, there's a question. Yes, the NFT is getting minted on... It's on a Revise chain. I would just say it's getting minted off-chain on Revise. And then you can actually mint it or /push it on chain. So Anil is here as well. So he will. I'll let him continue answering some of those questions.
Hey everyone, you're doing a fantastic job, Akash. I must say. When I did it the last time, it was not as fun as when you're doing it right now. That UI issue, yeah, it's a bug that a couple of people have pointed out. I think at a certain stage, it doesn't reflect in the dashboard. We'll try and get that sorted out ASAP. But Aniruddha, your point is correct. It is getting minted on Revise. It's sort of using a roll-up strategy that closely works like a Validium. So the data is stored, the data availability is done centralized, but the proofs for the data is stored on chain. And happy to go into more depths about that. But fundamentally, when we say the NFT is getting minted on Revise, what's happening is it generates everything required to move it on chain, sort of within the Revise ecosystem, and at which point you are now able to export it to either the EVM based chain. We're putting out a guide on how to export it to Tezos next. So you could do Polygon, Ethereum, Optimism, XDAI chain, and a bunch more. Is the metadata stored on chain? The data isn't, the proofs are. So when you think about data in the context of an NFT, there is the actual data itself, which could be anywhere from ranging from just numerical traits to a really huge dump of just blob. That data is not put on chain, but the proofs of each data piece changing is put on chain. When you use the SDK and you add it, it initially shows only on Revise. There is a guide that we've put out. We'll just put a link in the chat as well, which shows you how you can move it to OpenSea. So you could put it on Polygon or on Ethereum and how you can move it to OpenSea. It's a one-time integration. Once you do it for a given chain, it just works out of the box. In fact, you could do it across multiple chains. You could create NFTs that sort of work cross-chain. You just have to like link it to sort of a chain once, which involves deploying a contract on that chain and setting the token URI which points to Revise. And then it sort of works seamlessly between multiple blockchains as well. So whether you do it just with Revise or across several blockchains, once it's set up, at the end of the day, you just use the same APIs that Akash is using in the tutorial right now. But that could be an interesting webinar that we run next, Akash.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think not just limiting it to Revise, but also showing how you can bring it on chain. And I think it's quite timely as well.
We could do it across, let's say, something like Tezos and the EVM. So we could effectively cover just about every blockchain that uses the EVM. And just to demonstrate its abilities beyond EVM, we could cover Tezos.
Yeah, I completely agree, Anil. I think it's also quite timely given the collaboration we're doing with Tezos and how Tezos is integrating with Revise. So I think it'll be quite an exciting thing to run on a webinar. Great ideas. And Anil, thanks for walking Anirudh through that the technical questions. So keep those questions coming. I'll just come back. I'll just give a quick recap. So we've minted the NFT. We have seen that it's on our Revise app. And now what we're doing is we are going to, using some mock data, we're going to actually dynamically change the NFT, right? The dynamic changes includes two things. So one is it gets updated to a silver level, and the other one is it gets updated to a gold level. As you can see, the mock data I've created is there's some offense, defense, stamina, skill. So the silver level has higher offense, has higher attributes than the bronze level, and also different image. And the same with the gold level, it has the highest of attributes. So in our case, what we are doing is we are running a function where every 2 minutes it's fetching the NFT. So this is where we actually should change our NFT ID. So this NFT ID is the one we generated earlier once the NFT was minted. We're pasting it over here. And then what we're basically doing is we are updating or setting the property. So these are all Revise functions. We're setting the property for level, offense, defense, stamina, skill, image, all that kind of stuff. And then also doing a console log to just ensure that everything's gone through properly and as expected. So two key things to remember is you have to change your NFT ID with the one you've just minted. And the next thing to remember is remember to add in your auth token. Otherwise, it will throw an error. So I'm just going to do node levels.js, and it'll get updated every 2 minutes. So obviously in this case, we'll just keep it running. So now it's at level silver. So if I just actually go back to our app and do a quick check by refreshing, this should have now become silver and you can see our revisions over here as well. So it's become silver, attributes have been updated, metadata attributes have also been updated, and you can see the second revision. So after 2 minutes, once the next revision happens, it will again, do these things. So obviously this was an example just using mock data, right? So let's just go back to our code and I'll show you how we can connect it to a real API and actually use real data to update your NFT as well. I think there was some messages. Cool. And it's just updating some more things. Awesome. So if you continue with the article that we posted earlier on the chat, at the bottom, there's an additional content section where we have shared a GitHub repository link. If you clone that GitHub repository, and once again, update your, remember this NFT ID and your auth token, you just have to plug that in there. So I'll just bring up the repository. I've cloned it onto my laptop and already gotten all these things sorted to make it easy for us. So first thing, just update this one here. Cool. So all this file is doing is it is fetching the NFT that we've already minted. And then we've set up some config things. This is the config regarding the API we're using, right? So the API we're using just basically works at a season or a league level. So you can collect the data of a player for a specific league or for the specific season. You can pull that data and then make dynamic changes. So in this case, we know that 278 is the player code for Mbappe for this API. So we're sending the ID, the season being 2022 in the league. And all we're doing is we're saying, listen to this, listen to basically fetch the goals from the player data from this API every 3600 seconds. And then check if the total goals of the player has increased. If it has, make certain changes, right? So this is a trigger based on gold scored. So this would be something you'd run probably on a seasonal basis. So you're running it for like a couple months and your NFT is dynamically changing based on how many goals the player is scoring. So you basically want to tie it up to players that are scoring goals in this case. So that was index.js. Data.js, on the other hand, is where we're kind of making the conditional elements of the dynamic conditional elements. So this is the URL to the API we're using. These are the parameters we're passing. So ID, season, and league. This is coming from index.js over here. The other things we're also doing is conditions are what the base image should be. So in our case, we're just saying the base image is a bronze. So at a minimum, even if the player isn't playing this season, we still just have a bronze image for them. If they score one goal, sure, it's impressive, but we'll just keep them at bronze. If they score 1 to 5 goals, we upgrade them to silver. And then if they score more than 5 goals, we upgrade them to gold. Now, the data that we receive, so what we're returning over here is the image, the total goals, and the data. So this data object is effectively the object or all the data that's coming back from the API. So there's a ton of data that's coming back from the API. There's age data about the player. There's multiple like demographic related data about the player. So there's a lot of customizability you can do with the data. In this case, we've just left it open-ended and we're just pulling all of the data, but only looking at the goals part of it to dynamically change. But we want you to be creative. If you want to play around with this, there's so much data that's coming through. You can trigger the dynamicness based on all the other attributes that come through. But in a nutshell, that's what we've got for today. In terms of, actually, just one more thing. So we also have a .env file over here. A .env file is nothing but just a place where you put in your API key and the host in this case. I think there's a limit of 500 calls using this API key. So feel free to use it, but you might have to create your own API key if you want to continue exploring. We've made it available for all of you just for ease. But yeah, that's everything we have. So just to summarize everything we've done today, we first installed the revised SDK and cloned the repository. We then got our auth token. We then created a collection, after which we minted our first NFT. We then triggered mock data dynamicness of our NFT, where the NFT basically changes every 2 or 3 seconds, and metadata attributes change, image changes. We then went ahead to this file where we triggered the dynamicness based on certain API data that's coming through. So in our case, how many goals the player scored. And yeah, that's us for today. I'll leave it open for yeah, I'm happy to bring anyone on stage, as Mihir said. I'd love to hear questions, any open discussions, anything at all. Yep, I'll stop sharing my screen for now.
Hi guys. So I guess Akash got disconnected. We're gonna wait, but until then, yeah, anyone who wants to share more about their project or ask any questions or speak about their journey, we're happy to talk about it. Essentially, this is a very informal stage, and we want to exchange good ideas, and would love to hear more about the people that are attending. I think we are 11 people, out of which 7 or 8 are from Revised team. So it's a almost like a you know uh, small informal meetup. So feel free to talk about feel free to ask us to let you on stage, and we could talk about any question or any events that are coming up, or any tools or anything that excites you about this space. We are happy to yeah. Okay, Mayur, no worries, you could just type in what you want, but anyone else, feel free to let us know, and happy to hear more and discuss. So Akash is back.
Yeah, sorry, team. I got kicked out of the own call I set up. Yeah, Maya, that's fine. Feel free to type. Also, let us know what teams you're supporting at the World Cup. We have some favorites within the team, within the revised team, and there's been a lot of trash talk recently amongst the team. So we would like to know who's supporting who. You do get more brownie points and possibly merch if you support the right teams. Madhu said Iran. Cool. So you're looking forward to Iran beating the USA. Meher spent some time in France, so I'm guessing he's a loyal French supporter. He spent 6 years in France, but he only knows how to say bonjour. Yep, there we go. Harper doesn't watch football. Okay. Cool. Okay. Keep. Cool. So we do have some questions coming through as well, while people tell us about what team they support. So Maya, we're planning to build something around eKYC. Cool. What I'm thinking is to build dynamic NFTs for our customers, which will contain the general analytics, like how many of their customers are male/female, age groups, geographical area. That's a really cool. That's super cool, Mayur. Anil, if you're still around, I think you would love to. This is something like This is something similar to what we were discussing a couple of weeks ago. So if you're Anil, if you're there, I think you would love to talk about this.
Yeah, that's an amazing use case, man. There is a lot of need for this, like especially from the perspective of like zero knowledge proofs. You don't need to really store KYC data on chain. It doesn't make sense, right? You don't want it leaking out. You don't want it like any information on the blockchain is publicly accessible. But what you do want is the ability to prove if certain individuals like have verified their KYC and the entity that was responsible for the verification. And ideally, you also want to keep track of the consumption of those KYC checkpoints and hand that over to the end user so he's aware of in real time what's going on with his NFT. I mean, with his KYC. Uh, in such a scenario, dynamic NFTs could act like a soul-bound token whose pure purpose is kind of like a key, like a redemption for his account, but more importantly, like a passport that kind of tracks how his KYC information is being passed around and how is it being consumed. KYC is actually a pretty important topic. Of course, something I worked on a lot in the past, so I'm up for a discussion. You can hit us up. I think my calendar link is available on our website as well. Book a slot. I'm happy to chat with you more about and brainstorm a little more about what you have in mind. just gonna put my
Well,
email here as well. Mir shared my calendar there.
I guess also while Mayur is typing, we're also super excited to let you guys know that we're sponsoring ETH India, if you aren't already aware. And we also have a hackathon stream that we're running during ETH India. At least one person from our team is going to be at majority of the big pre-ETH India events. So I will be putting out a social post fairly soon if you follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter about who's going to be at where. Feel free to get in touch with them independently. Anil, myself, Madhu, and Amar will be at quite a few of the events. Get in touch with us. We'd love to help you understand what kind of stuff you guys are doing. Like, what Mayur said about his eKYC stuff is that's super exciting. That's the kind of things we want to hear more about, even if it's more simpler stuff. Like, I don't know, I'm making a dynamic pet using photos of my pet. That's awesome. Like, that's the first thing I did on Revise. So yeah, if you have pets, please. But yeah, we'll be quite. This week is going to be really exciting for us with a lot of ETH India stuff. So do get in touch with us. I'll also be putting a summarized post of the events I attend, like a summary of my learnings. So even if you can't make it to all the events, if you want, feel free to follow Anil or myself on socials, and hopefully we can provide you some more value through that. Yeah. We will save you much, Mayur. If there isn't anything else, I've noticed that we have just gone about 3-4 minutes over time. So if there isn't much more, and if there's no other questions, we could call it a day. I'll just stay on for another minute or two.
I think a few things we should cover the next time around is just how a device connects to other blockchains and how you can like build once and ship across multiple blockchains. I think that'll be a cool one to cover. That's what we'll do next time. Also, if you have any suggestions in terms of what you want us to cover in these webinars, I'm happy to go over it. It doesn't just have to revolve around dynamic NFTs and device. We're happy to talk about and sort of cover other concepts in crypto as well.
Yeah, we're also looking at running more general sessions, more focused on even just the ABCs of NFTs and just the ABCs of dynamic NFTs, zero knowledge proofs, like all the hot topics and hot buzzwords in the space. So we are contemplating if there would be value in running something around that. Also, with regards to our hackathons, we've had some amazing submissions over the last few hackathons, and we are looking to start doing showcases of some of the things that are being created, and giving people the opportunity to kind of showcase their self-brand and their self-learning experience through some of these webinars. So there's a lot more coming. These webinar formats might change over time. So stay around, because I think there's so much to learn for all of us in the space.
Awesome. I think it's time to wrap it up. I think Mayur is saying something.
Oh yeah, I'll just wait for Mayur. And I'll just share our Twitters and LinkedIns. As well. This is let's play FIFA on PS someday. Sure, Mayur. Sure. We we should invest in a PlayStation in the office, Anil. It could help with increase in productivity.
Sold.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll call it here. Thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you learned something new, and great chatting. And hopefully we meet some of you or all of you at ETH India and the pre or following events. Take care.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Anil. See you. Bye bye.